Hello there, and welcome back to another one of our, hello, and welcome back. Today, I just want to go ahead and open up by saying, say some prayers for your boy, because even though we like to keep it light and also very serious at the same time on this video podcast, there's also, getting up here and teaching is fun and awesome, and I love doing it, and I never plan on stopping. But there is a price that comes with it, and basically anything you do that brings God glory, you're gonna get you're gonna be met with a equal or opposite force. I mean, there's gonna be people trying to keep you from doing it. And namely the devil, but also there's, people with the spirit, that kind of have the spirit of the devil inside of them. The spirit is called a Jezebel spirit, in reference to the Book of Kings, and one of the king's wives was named Jezebel, and she was a terrible person, very selfish, and basically the opposite of everything that you know to be good. And so that spirit takes over people, it gets inside of them and operates. It could be anybody could be selfish from time to time, or maybe make a mistake every now and then. But the spirit I'm talking about is one that these people basically operate their lives through, always doing what they want, never considering the other people, and this is how their brain works day in and day out. That's the kind of demonic, devilish, evil spirit that I'm talking about. And so when you operate from a place of selfishness and basically all unselfishness, then you would be filled with the spirit of Jezebel, and that's exactly what I'm talking about. And so all that to say, pray for me, because I've been feeling like I'm getting attacked really, really, really hard right now by the enemy, tempting me, trying to get me to do things I know I'm not supposed to do, and is feeling really heavy as of recent. And I'm fine. I'm going to be good, guys. Remember, I can still hear myself talking to you guys about the truth, so at least I'll hear the truth too. And so that's a bonus. And I'm just going to ask you to pray for your boy, because it's getting hard. I mean, I feel pretty safe with the cameras on, but I'm telling you, man, like, even being alone for a little while and letting your mind go places, the devil can use that, and I'm trying to protect myself here, because it's what I want, is what God wants. And so, when things like this happen, even though I'm the one doing it, there's still a part of me that doesn't want it to happen and doesn't want to do it. So I'm being tempted, and I pray that you'll pray for me, because it's heavy. Anyways, we're going to talk about the parable, another parable today, and then Jesus is going to tell us about the end of times. He's going to tell us what exactly is going to happen when he comes back, what God is going to do. And so it's pretty interesting to hear the details, because not only did Jesus tell us what was going to happen, but he told us how, and he didn't tell us when, but he did tell us how. And so those details are details that nobody else would know or be able to come up with without knowledge and, being in oneness with the Father. And so, yeah, I mean, I really don't think that believing that Jesus is God's Son is that difficult. And I know that a lot of people believe that it's exclusive and not loving to say that somebody's going to go to hell, because they didn't believe in Jesus. And I'm not gonna, sit there and say you're gonna be sent to this awful place that's terrible. I'm just gonna say, well, I mean, you're basically living in hell right now if you don't believe in God. Like, I know you are, because you have nothing to grab onto for security. You have your own opinions, your own thoughts, but those circle and spiral if you're not sure, and if you don't have any faith. And that's kind of what I'm talking about when, I would never use hell to kind of scare you into it, because I don't think that you would even care about hell, because you don't care about what's going on right now in front of you. Why would you care about what's happening when you die? Why would you? So I don't know if that's a very effective approach, and it has been for people in the past, and everybody is different. But yeah, Jesus. I mean, what a great way for God to bring everybody together through this one person, through 5,000 years, however long this place has been here, throughout the entirety of time. What a beautiful thing, because it allows me to operate on a foundation of, you're not perfect. Remember that. That's what he wants me to remember it. You're not perfect, but when you do mess up, talk to me about it, and I'll get it sorted out for you. That's what the King is saying to me, his creation, and he's saying to everybody else, come talk to me. We'll get it sorted out, and then you'll be rock and roll again. Get back to work. Whatever you were doing for the kingdom, trying to build up God's kingdom. Get back to work. And so that's kind of the foundation that he lays with all the logistics of him dying on the cross and being a perfect person. Like, all that stuff means is that you are going to mess up, and when you do, you're covered. But you have to go through Jesus. You have to put your faith in the fact that he did it, and you have to roll like that. And I know it might not be easy for everybody, and you're like, I don't truly in my heart of hearts believe. It's okay to doubt a little bit, guys. Like, I'm not saying you're ever going to reach this point in nirvana after you go after Jesus, and there's no certain point that you hit. You're always learning about Jesus, and that's the journey is that you're going to face if you do accept him, or if you are walking with him and you're wondering like why you're not feeling closer or something. Your whole journey is finding Jesus, is discovering him, is figuring out about his character and who he is and what he did and what he's doing for you right now, and actively doing that. That's your journey. And so I wouldn't feel discouraged if you're not exactly where you want to be, not because of anything you did. And that's a whole nother topic of discussion. You might not feel good, and you haven't necessarily done anything sinful or wrong. You just don't feel good about it, or maybe it was self-inflicted, and you feel like you're the problem, and that you're ashamed, and all this stuff is getting in the way of your relationship with God. And both of those are valid and accurate. Excuse me, things that happen, in our minds and that happened to us. It's a perfectly normal circumstance. It's not pleasurable, but it is normal. And so that's what Jesus dying on the cross represents, and what it means for us, in day-to-day life. Out there washing your car, or at work with your coworkers, or with your special somebody at the house, or whatever is going on. That's what that's for, and that's how you can be used. I don't know, this has nothing to do with the text, but I just bought some $29 toothpaste from the dentist office. Yeah, see, look, went to the dentist today, got my teeth cleaned. Look at them. Yeah. And so so here's the toothpaste, $29 toothpaste. I was talking with the hygienist, and I was like, I don't really know, my dad's a dentist, and so every time these people try and sell me stuff, I'm like, I'm good, which is what I told her at first. And then as we got to talking, I kind of softened up a little bit, and I was like, oh, whatever, I'll do it, because she wasn't the worst looking hygienist I've ever seen, and I didn't see a ring on her fingers, so I bought the toothpaste, not for that reason. She talked me into it, though. She did. So that was I think that's something, at least. Anyways, totally off topic. Today we're going to talk about the final judgment and also the parable of the talents. And so I'll spare you the details of reading. I'll spare you the time of reading like probably 10 verses. Yeah, it's like 15 verses. And I'll just tell you what happens. So, right now, Jesus has just he's just entered Jerusalem. And then he's had a lot of discussion with people that are opposing him and his views. They ask him questions and test him. He answers them with parables. Then he proceeds to declare woes upon them, which is basically saying, you guys are blind guides. You preach what you don't practice. And he was very detailed and harsh in those words. Those were hard words to hear if you're on the other side of that. But they needed to be said, and they're true nonetheless. And so it's almost like one of those, if you don't say anything, are you really helping them or not? Like if you really wanted to help, you'd tell them the truth. Kind of deal. And it's harder than you think. Go out and try it if you don't believe me. Then Jesus starts telling, I don't know if he's talking directly to the disciples or he's talking to the disciples in private, and they ask him about the coming times, the end of the world, the end of the age, and he tells them, and that's basically all of chapter 24. We end up where we're at today, because then after he tells them about all of the judgments and things that are going to happen, and he tells them no one knows the day or the hour, but he gives some examples of what it's going to be like, and then he tells them another parable, and we're on the last parable. So the parable of the talents is basically a illustration of what the kingdom of heaven will be like. And so he says, the kingdom of heaven will be like a man going on a journey who called his servants to entrust them his property. To one he gave 5 talents, to one he gave 2, and to one he gave 1. So basically, talents are they're monetary. It's monies, and I can't find it. I should have done some more research. I don't know exactly how much a talent is worth, because it's telling me to go to chapter 18, verse 24 to find it. Don't worry, guys. I'm going to investigate for you. Okay, no, I'm not. Anyways, talent is a lot of monies. I think it's a certain amount of denarii. I'm not sure. It's a lot. And so he gives his servants these talents. And he comes back and he checks on them, and the one who had 5 made 5 more with it. And so he says, well done, good and faithful servant. Now you'll be ahead of 10 cities or whatever. And then he comes to the one who has 5, and the one who had 5 invested his money, made like 2 or 3 more, and he said, here you go, like now you're in charge of a whole city, like 2 cities or however much he made. And then he goes to the one with 1 talent, and the guy had buried it in the ground and done nothing with it. And so he gave him his money back. He didn't lose anything, but those weren't the instructions that he was given. The instructions were to possess his money and make profit. That's why, he's make financial good. That's why he gave it to him. This guy hid it in the ground, and the master is really, really upset about it. And he calls him a wicked and slothful servant. And he ends up taking the talent from the servant and giving it to the person who has 10. And then Jesus, and capping this off with his words of wisdom and basically his principle for telling us the parable, he says, for everyone who has more will be given, and he will have an abundance. But from the one who has not, even what he has will be taken away. And cast the worthless servant out into the darkness. In that place there will be weeping and gnashing of teeth. And so he says all this to basically tell us that the kingdom of heaven will be like a man who gave his servants talents and basically left and came back and checked to see what had happened with them. And that's a scary thought for somebody who isn't doing anything with the talent that they've been given today, because everybody has been given a talent. And this talent is a synonym with, or actually a homophone. I think it's a homophone where the words are the same, but they mean something different. So this usage of talent in English could be used for a special ability that you were given, and that is unique to you, a talent, something you're good at. Or if we translate and we use the talent that is, it might be Greek or Roman. I think it's Roman. And they're using it as money. But whatever the case is, God has entrusted you with a talent. Whether you want to say that it's your talents, stuff you're good at, or you want to use it as a money, whatever He's given you, everything that you have is the talent in your example. If you put yourself in and you made, then in this example, the talent would be all the things you've been given. Because God has given you things just like He gave those people the talents in the story. And even though it was a metaphor, Jesus is still trying to help us understand this is you and God is the master. You are the servant in this story. And you don't want to be wasting your time and doing things that aren't productive for the kingdom of God. And basically, if you don't, then when the master comes back and you're useless to him and you think it's not loving and harsh, that's a whole nother topic of discussion that we would have, that God doesn't really love you if He would throw you into hell. No, you don't really love you if you would let yourself get thrown into hell because you had the option not to. And you chose not to. And that's all I'm going to say about that. It's really, really just a merry-go-round if nobody listens to what the other person has to say. And that's what happens most of the time. We get heated and emotional in those discussions. But I'd just like to remind you that you're the one who chose it for yourself, because He offered Himself and his Son as a sacrifice for you, told you about it. You hear me up here preaching and telling you about it. I'm not even preaching. I'm a civilian telling you, hey, there's a way to walk with the foundation that's secure and will give you confidence and safety. And if you choose not to believe that, then that's on you, not on God or Jesus or Him being unloving. He's the most loving, kind, pure being that has ever been in existence. There's nobody purer than He is. And so to even say that is very, 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 very wrong. You're very wrong about God. And I care because, I love Him and I have a relationship with Him and we're close, and that's just not true. It agitates me when I hear that a little bit. I suppose we're talking about that now. Anyways, we're off that. We're not talking about that today. Final judgment. Jesus is. This is directly after the parable of the talents. I said that this is what the kingdom of heaven is like. We're the people with the talents, and God is the master. And I was going to leave it there, but we can take a deeper dive into that if you want. If you want to talk about the logistics of what exactly we're going to do, what exactly we're supposed to be doing. We're supposed to be serving. There is no one greater than the servant. The Son of Man came to serve and not to be served. All of these verses that I've just directly quoted from Matthew, maybe one of them is in Luke, somewhere in between the chapter 12 and 24 mark, you'll find it. And I don't know exactly where it is. I can find it for you. If you really, really, really want me to, I will. If not, I'm going to keep rolling. So Jesus is telling us about the final judgment, and we were possibly thinking about talking more about the talents and your day-to-day life to get real, because you want to get real right now. I go to work every day. I have a job. I don't have a girlfriend, don't have a family, but I try and do my best every single day to walk in the way that God wants me to, because I found that it it fulfills me inside, and it gives me everything that I wanted, that I didn't know I wanted, and it makes me not want anything else because I have everything I need with him. It makes it like that. And if you want something like that where you don't need anything except for God, which is he's always accessible, like you don't need anything at all and you're content, then this is how you get it, through Jesus. That's how it's done. And that's about as much information as I have today to share as far as what we're supposed to be doing with our talents, because each person is individually gifted with their talent or whatever their gift is, and it's up to you to use it. And there's only one thing I can do. There's only a few things I can do. I can tell you, encourage you, walk beside you, but only you are going to be the person that ends up doing it. And so the best thing I can do for you right now is just to tell you about it. And then if you have questions, I can explain to you more deeply about how to get to investing your talents and investing your time into things that are important, that we were made for, and that go with the design and the designer. Because when you accomplish that and you achieve that and you do that, you will be fulfilled and you will have peace that surpasses all understanding. And that's just the result of being close to God. And so the final judgment, this is directly after the parable of the talents, and this is where we're going to end. We're going to close out chapter 25, and we'll start with chapter 26 on the next video. There's 28 chapters in Matthew, so the next chapter is going to be the plot to kill Jesus, going to be his death, crucifixion, and resurrection, and then the book's going to be over. We'll have finished the book of Matthew, all 28 chapters. Bravo, everybody's clapping, we did it. But guess what? After we finish this one, we're going to go into an epistle. And then after we finish the epistle, we're going to go back into another gospel. I think we're on Mark after Matthew. I don't remember the order. I've been teaching them throughout the years in order, like Matthew, Mark, Luke, John, Matthew, Mark, Luke, John, Matthew, Mark, Luke, John. But I think the order is messed up, and so I don't remember which book is next after the epistle. But anyways, we're going to keep going. We don't have to worry about the videos not coming out because we're going to keep them pumping out, hopefully until I take my last breath. Or something else happens. The final judgment. So it says the Son of Man comes in all his glory, and the angels with him, and he will sit on his glorious throne. Before him will be gathered the nations, and he will separate people from one another as a shepherd separates the sheep from the goats. He will place the sheep on the right and the goats to the left, and the king will say to those on the right, "Come, you who are blessed by my Father, inherit the kingdom prepared for you from the foundation of the world. For I was hungry, and you gave me food. I was thirsty, and you gave me drink. I was a stranger, and you welcomed me. I was naked, and you clothed me. I was sick, and you visited me. I was in prison, and you came to me." Then the righteous will answer and saying to him, "Lord, when did we do this to you?" And the king will answer them, "Truly I say to you, as you did to one of the least of my brothers, you did to me." And then I'll say to those on the left, "Depart from me, you cursed, into the eternal fire prepared for the devil and his angels. For I was hungry, and you gave me no food. I was thirsty, and you gave me no drink. I was a stranger, and you did not welcome me. I was naked, and you did not clothe me. And was sick and in prison, and you did not visit me." They will also answer, saying, "Lord, when did we?" And then he will answer, "Truly I say to you, you did not do it to one of the least of these, and you did not do it to me. And these will go away into eternal punishment, but the righteous into eternal life." And that is the end of chapter 25, and I think it's pretty self-explanatory. Basically, Jesus is saying at the end of the times, God will separate everybody, and he will start pruning. I use the word pruning as like he will take away what is unnecessary. And if you're not benefiting his kingdom, if you're not uplifting what his mission is, then he's going to get rid of you because you're useless to him. He gave you a chance to join him in eternal glory, and you turned it down because you didn't understand how this whole thing worked, and you want to redo. And you're not going to get the redo. And this is it. This is all you get right here. This is your shot right now. So don't blow it. And that's all I have to say, honestly. Don't blow it. Don't be stupid. Anyways, that is all for chapter 25. We'll get into chapter 26 next video. The writer writes about the plot to kill Jesus, and we are going to read about it, and we're going to talk about it. We're going to make it real for ourselves. We're going to bring this discussion to the table and talk about it some more. So